All right, welcome everybody to this workshop this evening, this GLAT Success Workshop. I'm so happy to see you all here. We have a good turnout so far, and I'm so excited to share with you Miss Cynthia Smith, who will be sharing with us her experiences and her knowledge of working with students over the past 22 years in the primary education sector. Cynthia is located on Grand Bahama Island, and she has taught at Freeport Primary and also Walter Parker. And she's written several different curriculum workbooks for different subjects like social studies, science, religious education, an interdisciplinary book. And if you're familiar with the Student Shed, you'll know that on the studentshed.net, Cynthia has lots of products there as well. She has actually over 200 products specifically geared towards primary school students, to parents like yourselves and teachers like yourself, so you can help your students. I didn't do a mic check, but can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, great. And I am Tansy Lewis. I'm founder of the Student Shed. And for those of you who may just be getting familiar with the Student Shed, we are an online learning community, and we provide digital resources to help students do well in their GLAT, BJC, and BGCSE exams. And so these are downloadable resources, also services like tutoring and online courses, and lots of free resources as well for students. So Cynthia, if you're ready, we can get started. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. All right. So I'll hand the stage over to you, Cynthia, and we can get started.
Okay, thank you very much, Mistress Lewis. And good afternoon to everyone who is on this platform this afternoon. I'm so happy that you are in so many different islands of the Bahamas. I heard Cat Island, Eleuthera, New Providence, Abaco, those islands that I heard. There may be others, but welcome, welcome, welcome. So I'm here today to give my point of view or my experience with math. Now, I believe that most of you probably heard the Minister of Education talk about the learning gap, and some of it derived from because of the pandemic, and a lot of kids were at home, homeschooling. And so there is the learning gap with the language and the math in particular. Okay? And so working in the classroom, Ms. Lewis said, for 22 years, I've taught grade 1. That was my first placement. I've taught grade 3 for many years. I taught grade 4 for many years, and I also taught grade 6 for many years. So I do have the experience with grade 3 and the grade 6 with the GLAT. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't teach for the GLAT. I teach the curriculum, and I teach what the children needs to know. And if I do that, I know that the children will be successful. Okay? Okay, now. So what I'm going to do at this time, I'm going to share my screen with you. And we will, before I do that, I would like for a few of you just to unmute your mic and let me know what you hope, what is the reason why you sign up today for this math? What do you hope to get from it? So let me get about 5 or 6 persons, please. Anyone can start.
Well, good night. Hi.
Good night.
Yes, my name is Patricia, and I'm here because my daughter is in grade 6,
Okay.
and she is preparing to take the GLAT soon. And I just want her to have the best opportunity to do well. And I mean, I know in her school they are practicing the GLAT, but any other tips, that she can utilize to help her to be able to, learn the material that she needs, and how to complete the exam effectively and get the best grade. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, awesome. Okay, can I have another, please?
Good evening.
Hi,
My
good
name is
evening.
Okay, let's get Ms. Robinson first. Okay. And then we will do Ms. Roberts.
Good evening. I am a high school math teacher. I
Okay.
have a granddaughter who is in grade 4 and she will do the GLAT in grade 6. But I have a lot of students who miss the basics in math. So I'm looking for ideas on how I can help them to, in multiplication, division, all the basics that they should have learned in primary school. They're struggling with those things.
Okay. All right. Ms. Robertson, are you ready?
Hi, good evening. My son, he's in grade 6. He'll be doing GLAT. I just want to know how best I can help prepare him for the exams because I feel as if that he's at an A-backer school, and right now they're basically cramming all of the information for GLAT for them right now, and I just want to know how best I could be able to assist them.
Okay, thank you. All right, can we get one more?
Good night.
Good night.
My name is Miss Watkins. I am a grade 3 teacher at Cooperstown Primary in Abaco.
Okay.
So I am now preparing my children for GLAT. And I know that math, this is my second time doing grade 3, and math is a very heavy content.
Very heavy.
In GLAT. So I'm here basically for the beneficial, trying to see what all tips I can get, how I can best assist my students.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, participants, for letting us know what the reason why you register and here today. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to share my screen with you and see. Okay. Okay, Ms. Lewis, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, great. All right. Okay. Now this math workshop, the challenges with math. And my focus in this presentation is to really let parents know what are the challenges that most children experience in math, okay? Now my question is to you all is, why do you think math is important? Okay, can I get 2 or 3 responses? Why do you think math is important? Anybody can share, why do you think math is important? Or do you think math is important? All right, so I didn't get anybody, so we'll go into our presentation then. Okay, math. What I want to let you know that math is a subject at school known as cumulative subject. And cumulative means that math relies on skills. And trying to move the screen away. It relies on skills or elements of learning that depends on each other. They are also known as building blocks. And just like a house is built on foundation, so is knowledge of math and the use of numbers. Now, when we talk about building blocks, math doesn't start from grade 4 or grade 6. It starts from preschool. So when you build on it, you said 1 plus 1, and then you continue to add larger numbers to it. And that is with what we call building blocks. Okay? Why is math important for children? Here are some reasons. Problem solving. Math teaches children to solve problems logically and systematically. It helps them to develop critical thinking skills, which can apply in many cases. So what we have found in the Bahamas that so many children don't have that problem-solving skills, and that is why we have lots of challenges in math. Practice life skill. Math is essential for everyday life. Whatever it's calculating, you can calculate change at the food store, measuring ingredients, or cooking, or understanding the concept of time. Now here, I like this concept, practicing life skills. As parents, how many of you, when you go to the food store, do you allow your child to help you to count the change, or give the cashier the money and have an idea of what change is expected? Any one of you? Okay, all right. In my school, what I used to do is to take the children to the duck shop. So the children buy a chip and a drink. The chip is normally $1. The drink can also be $1 to 75 cents. And I would ask them how much money. Most of the time, you know, they carry dollars. What will be a change if you give the top shop lady $2? What will be your change? Okay, so that is practicing everyday skills. And in the Bahamas, sometimes many of us, when we go to the store, we don't allow the children to handle any money. Okay, so when you do that, you are giving them that skill in math. Also, when you are cooking, using your measuring cup. All right, how much is a pint? And that is a very difficult subject for children. When you talk about measuring pints and quarts and gallons, you're talking about liters and milliliters. So if you get your child while you're in the kitchen or you're doing something, if you get children assisting you, that too help with math. All right, time is another problem for children. It's a very difficult thing for children. And so if we can also continue to help children learning the time. I know that nowadays everything is sort of digital. We don't have the analog anymore. But if we can use the analog clock.
But we did the opposite of that.
Pardon me? Okay. All right. And another one is STEM careers. Why is math important? Now, we all know that the jobs of tomorrow will be STEM related, okay? And STEM builds on science, technology, engineering, and math. And we have a number of the schools, particularly here on Grand Bahama, who are involved with STEM. We call it the SECME Club, where the children have to build a rocket. That calls for measurements. technology that calls for math. Also building, they're involved in building bridge from popsicle sticks. That also require, because they need to know how long the bridge will be and measuring how heavy it is. So all of those things require children to know math. Brain development. We know that research says that learning math can positively impact the brain development. It can improve memory, attention, and reasoning skills, which are critical for academic success. So math is important because of the brain development, okay? Creative thinking. Math is not just about memorizing formulas and solving equations. It also involves creative thinking and problem solving. Children can develop their creativity and ability to think outside the box by just learning math. Okay? All right? In short, math is an essential subject for children to learn, as it provides them with the skills and knowledge needed to succeed in many areas of life. So it's not only for the GLAT, but it is a lifelong thing. All right? Some reasons why children struggle with math. So I'm going to give you a few reasons why our children are struggling with math. Okay? One, missing out on the basics. All right? Understanding the basic of addition, for example, many may hinge grasping the foundation of multiplication. So multiplication and addition are interrelated, okay? So if you add 2 plus 2, okay, you can also multiply to get that answer. And many of you as teachers, you know that. Each grade level of math builds on one before. Miss out on a step and the concept and the skills suffer along the way. All right? There could be any number of reasons for gaps in knowledge, ranging from illnesses, air infection, emotional traumas, or changing schools at any time. So some of the reasons why children miss out on the basic facts here: illnesses, missing schools, or some other emotional traumatic events, okay? Recognizing and addressing these gaps will make an enormous difference to mathematical progress. So when we recognize what children are going through and why the basics that they have missed out on, we can progress from there. All right? So here we have an example. We have 4 circles with three, say, dots or apples inside it. All right? So we have multiplication and addition. Here, a child can add 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. And when they add those together, the sum will be 12, or the total will be 12. Now they can also multiply that. 4 groups, 4 circles, 4 groups, and in each of the group, 3. Okay? So 4 times 3, 12. So here they need to understand that multiplication and addition, what we call is inversed. Okay? So if you multiply something, you can also add it and you can get the same results. Step 2, specific learning difficulties. Now, The most common learning difficulty associated with math is dyslexia. When we hear about dyslexia, we only think about, or many of us often think about the language reading, but there's also math dyslexia. All right? Children with this difficulty have trouble learning facts related to math. So when we see that, when we understand and know that they have a number dyslexia, we can understand why they are having trouble with math. They struggle with their memory and do not know how to apply their knowledge to math problem solving. So this is something that they will have to learn how to deal with using the experts to get over this, okay? All right. Children with math difficulties find math concepts like in size and difference and problem solving very difficult. Several factors could be linked to brain development and function, leading to numbers becoming a learning difficulty. Okay? Now, number 3, we talk about anxiety. Many of our children have anxiety of math. The feeling of anxiousness associated with working with numbers is genuine for some children. However, anxiety can cloud the child's sense of judgment and impair their ability to work at math. So that is another problem why our children struggle with math, the anxiety they encounter. Now, here are some signs of stress associated with this subject. Emotional reaction like being fearful when faced with problem solving or numbers related activity. Okay, so here the anxiety, in many cases, it is not that the children or the child doesn't know, but because of anxiety, that sort of distort them from learning or applying themselves in math. All right. Expressive, they also express negative comments about math activity. All right. They show nervous reactions like avoidance and clammy hands when working with numbers. Some of them have upset stomach or tummy aches and avoiding tactics which face with numeracy. Noticeable poor achievement in the area of mathematics skills. So these things can all contribute because of anxiety. So we have to look at ways how we can have the child comfortable and settle down so that they can be able to perform their math functions easily. Number 4, does not have the ability to see the connectivity in math between difference and numbers, a number combination, or estimation. So many of us, when we were in school or when we were young, we learned something called about rote, okay? Rote learning. And so we learned the timetable, 2 times 1 is 2 and straight down to 12. And that is called rote learning, all right? Some children do not seem to be able to progress beyond rote learning counting stage of mathematical calculation. So as a teacher, what you can do, instead of in the mornings, I know most of you will have them do their multiplication and they will go straight through. But, for example, if you come to a child and you say 4 times 3, that child, as they learn their 4 timetable, they know that 4 times 3 is 12. But because you ask them that out of sequence, out of the rote learning, they don't remember, they freeze up. So sometimes we have to sort of switch it up so they can know how to do it in any fashion and in any problems, okay? We know that numbers are too abstract for them, and the child has not developed beyond the early concrete stage of mathematical understanding. Now, when you think about child development, all of us came through child development. We came up through the pre-operational, that is the toddler. And when we reach to grades 3 to 4, we have this concrete stage where we don't really deal with abstract anymore. We have to think of what we are doing. Now, in grades 1, 2, children use a lot of manipulatives. So that is the abstract. And they will manipulatives like counters or abacus or linking blocks, all of those things that they will use in doing their math. But when you get to grade 4, children should be at a concrete stage, and you sort of put those manipulatives on the side a bit, all right? But many children cannot lose that. They don't want to lose that. They still want to have that with them. And in the classroom, I found that some children was reluctant to give up the counters because they're still in that pre-operational stage. They haven't reached that concrete stage yet. They still want to do that so they can solve their math problems. Children who struggle with math do not see a relationship between numbers or counting patterns, and they struggle to learn facts like multiplication table. So those are some of the difficulties seeing the connection with math. And so at a particular time, teachers will have to use lots of visuals to help the child connect. Now, I know that some parents, some teachers will find it a bit of a challenge to you to make manipulatives. When I was in the classroom, particularly in grades 3 and grade 4, I used a lot of manipulatives. I created my own place value blocks. I created my own their rounding, all of my rounding manipulatives. I created all of those. So in the morning, when they come to school, I will have them on different desks, and they will go and solve the problem that was on the paper. Also, you can do it, for example, in the afternoon, one day in the afternoon, whatever math you taught, you can have the manipulatives, and they can use that to help solve their problem, particularly the children who are struggling a little bit. Now, those who are very versed, they will just move forward very quickly. So what we still need to do, if you can buy it, then you make it, okay? And so that is what you can do to help children to get over that pre-operational stage to the concrete stage. Now, number 5 needs practice applying math to the real world. And we talk about a little of that when we talk about the shop, and we talk about the baking, okay? When a child finds it challenging to use numbers in the real world situation, it indicates that math is a struggle for them. Counting days or working out change in a shop could be skilled children acquire as they mature. So let them get a lot of working with change, because we have that in the curriculum, what we call money, working with change, adding up how much change. I know that for me, when I came out of school, I created a whole, I would call it a wallet of money. And I used a lot of Bahamian money. I laminated. So in the back of one of my grade 3 class and my grade 4 class, I had a shop in the back of my in the back of the class. And in the mornings, there would be a worksheet. Now you can. So I have to pick up. We can mute that person, please. Thanks. All right. So what I would do with the worksheet, you can put it in the sheet protector, and that will help you to keep it for a long time. All right. For those who are at home, you can just allow the child to write on it, because you're not in the classroom, so you don't have to repeat that over for the next set of kids that are coming. And you can have that worksheet there with money on it, and the child can match the money up and add it. And you can also have worksheets where you ask them to make change, so they can do that also. Okay. So what I found in teaching, I'm a visual learner. So I made a lot of games, create lots of activities for my children, particularly when it came to math. Okay. Having difficulty using quantities in a recipe, and we talk about that already. So using practical, real life experience, children will get it. Okay. All right. They may have difficulty telling time. All right. And so in the exams, particularly the math exam, many times would not be an a digital clock. It will be an analog clock. And children will have to either write in the hand of the clock, or there may be two clocks where they will have to do elapsed time. So try to get them to work on many time activities as much as possible. I want to interject here now that math, we don't study math, we have to practice math. And so the more practice a child gets, the better the child becomes. So we can get lots of examples and lots of practice. That is the key for succeeding in math. All right. Now, self-doubt. Now, self-doubt is peer pressure. A lot of our kids go under are under peer pressure. They can have peer pressure from their peers. They can have peer pressure at home, as parents say, try to compare two children, that is pressure. So let's try to avoid that. All right. Another reason why students fail in mathematics, because of peer pressure. They're unable to cope with the pressure to perform at school. This, along with the constant comparison with other good students, lead to the rise of self-doubt. Students might not voice out, but in reality, they are very scared of the subject. They look out for ways to avoid learning the subject. Okay, so as parents and teachers, we have to look for those signs. Short attention span. Now, most of us are aware of this. We have children who just don't concentrate for some reason. Some children get easily distracted. They are very easily distracted. They cannot remain attentive throughout the math lesson. Their attention wanders and they stop paying any interest. When asked to solve a problem in class, they flutter or they become the center of jokes. So they become the class clown, and because they don't know. And so many times when you see children act out or they try to be funny, just because they just don't know. And that is the way of trying to get out of it. As parents, we are encouraged to we are to encourage our child to pay attention more in the classroom. Both the teacher and the parents can use different learning aids to make mathematics appear interesting. Now, in getting children to learn nowadays is a lot of work. I'm not going to tell you it is easy. It is a lot of work, okay? And for them to be successful, you will have to be with them all the way. When my son was in school, my friends would always tease me and ask me what grade I'm in, because for somehow he was very good. In terms of the language, he was excellent, but he did have problems with the math. And he did have attention span difficulty, all right? He was a great athlete. And so sometimes I use his talent to, to do math questions. If he comes to me to ask me a question or he needed something, I will give him a multiplication problems, 8 times 6 or 6 times 8. And he will have to answer that form before I answer him, okay? Or before I give him what he is asking for. And so sometimes you need to do a little, some creative ways to get them going, right? Now, low IQ. We know that people talk about IQ a lot. We cannot overlook the role that one's IQ play in learning mathematics. This area is kept under wrap because no one wants to accept that his or her child has a low IQ, okay? And so we know that not every child is going to be an A student. There are going to be children who are on the D list or probably lower than the D list, okay? Those children have low IQ, and it is something that we will have to look at and to assist them with it. But the facts remain, some kids don't have the ability to grasp numbers as easily as others. Thus, their low IQ affects their learning graph, okay? So, again, we have to look at the child as parents, as teachers. We are to be what we call it psychologists. We have to observe children and see how they interact and see what somebody's writing on my board. Okay. Now, method of teaching, that's number 9. Ideally, mathematics should be taught in a way that is easy to comprehend. And that is not done often in the classrooms, unfortunately. So if it's not easy, we have to find ways of making it easy for children to comprehend. For me, particularly teaching 6th grade, I used YouTube a lot. I looked at different ways that the presenters present a particular topic. For example, adding fractions, all right? Or when we talk about GCF and the LCM, different ways. So when I stand in the front of my classroom, I will have at least 2 to 3 ways that I will be able to teach my children how to solve that particular problem. Now, I know that it takes a lot of time to do it, to do your research, to learn it. But if we want our children to succeed, we will put in that little effort. Remember that they're going to be growing up very quickly and out of here, okay? So we can give them that extra time. That will be perfect. All right. The technique should be such that students can relate to it even after the class is over. If the method of teaching is proper, the student will be able to add, subtract, divide, and multiply without a calculator. So we teach the skills and the concept well. We teach it in an easy way. That child will be able to be successful. But more often than not, mathematics teachers rely on one method that are difficult to grasp. So they will teach the entire class by the same method, and little Johnny in the corner is lost, and he's not getting it at all. Okay? Many mathematics teachers are not well versed in the subject. Again, here, if you don't understand something, like most of you all are here today, you are seeking additional help. You're trying to make yourself more aware of the subject, know how to teach it well in an easy way, okay? So we have to find ways to assist our young children. There are many teachers who do not have an in-depth knowledge of the subject. Not all teachers can teach well. Teaching is an art. Not everyone is well versed in it. So that too, that's a drawback for children, okay? The persons who are delivering it. There are many teachers who perform well in mathematics, but when asked to teach, they somehow flutter because they are unable to do it. All right? Most passionate teachers who may have aced the subject with relatively ease when they were in the classroom, they may not understand that it is probably more difficult for some students. So what some teachers often do is just put everybody in one pile or one group and saying, okay, everybody should be able to understand that, but that's not reality. Having a compassionate teacher who understands the difficulties the child faces impacts the child's performances as well. It is the teacher who mostly helps students to push themselves while they struggle with comprehending math concepts. So teachers, we have a very, very important role, okay? All right, that's some website of a book that I was introduced to while I was trying to put this together, right? Number 11, reading comprehension. How does reading comprehension affect math? While math primarily deals with numbers, there is a substantial amount of reading. It is not just reading the word problem either. Reading skills like sequence, cause and effect, comparing and contrasting, inferring and predicting are part of solving math problem. So we have to try to get the children to comprehend, try to get them to read. And that is one of the reasons that while most children do not do well in exams and in the GLAT, because they are unable to read the information and they are unable to comprehend the information. Now, in the GLAT, if parents, if you're not aware, I know in schools in Grand Bahama and New Providence, and I'm thinking that is throughout the entire Bahamas, teachers do not stay in their class during the exams. They switch class, and teachers are not allowed to read the problems. They read the instructions, they give the instructions, but they cannot read for the child. And so that also poses a big problem if the child is challenged with reading and challenged with comprehending. Okay? Students have to interpret and explain their thinking in math, which starts with the fundamental communication skills like speaking, reading, and writing. When students can move beyond the challenge in reading skills, solving the math problem become out of reach. All right? So when we look at our scores, and most of you here are here to look at how your child can succeed in math, and that is reading comprehension is one of the biggest problem, understanding. Now, math, the GLAT is really written on a 5th grade level. Most teachers are not aware of that, but math is written on a 5th grade level. And if students are having challenges from 5th grade, 4th grade, they will definitely have challenges with the math, okay? Now, just understanding the direction can feel like a test for a student with a reading disability. Word problems are especially difficult for those students, right? Reading comprehension and math are interconnected because it takes both reading and math skills to solve math problems. So we can play as many games as possible. We can use as many manipulatives as possible. But when it comes to the exams, if a child have a reading problem, it affects their results. Students with reading disabilities are caught up with the challenge of reading. So math becomes a struggle as a result. Improving math skill is tough when students fight just to understand the problem. Okay? Students who have difficulty reading and comprehending text have difficulty identifying the questions to the answer, right? This leads to creating and answering the wrong equation if the student has a math skill to solve the actual problem. Now, let's look at what we were talking about. I gave you like 10 tips. Let's try this out. Now, I want each person, do not put it in the chat until I ask you to put it in the chat, okay? So I want everybody to get a paper and pencil or pen or something to write on, all right? So we're going to look at some challenges, okay? So we're going to look at number concepts. Now, what place does the digit 9 have in 9,856? Now you can so put your answer in the chat. No. You can begin to put your answer in the chat. All right, I want everybody to do it, and I will see what the chat. Okay. All right, half a minute more. Okay. All right. I see a lot of people putting in their answers. Okay. All right. Okay, we can use some more participants, putting your answer in the chat. Okay. What place? And those persons who wrote in the thousands place, you are correct. Okay. If you put in the thousands place, you are correct. Because when we are teaching, you start from the right. We know this is the ones place, the tens, hundreds, and then we have thousands, okay? And so this concept is taught from as early as grade 2. We call that place value. And so the child will know, they will start from the right, going to the left, and they will know the different place. We call it place, okay? So each number or each digit has a particular place. So as particularly parents, as you deal with the child at home, so place value always come in the exam, always. So make sure they know place value, okay? All right, so here, another one is rounding. Round 688 to the nearest 100. So I want you to go and put your answer in the chat. All right, rounding. All right, I want as many of you as possible to put your answer in the chat. I see some answers here. I'm not going to say if it's right or wrong at this time. Okay. Right. All right. So the answer here, get out here. And those who put rounding 7, they put 700. you are correct. Now, the rule for rounding, here, particularly parents, rule for rounding, this is rounding to the nearest 100. So what you do is you know the 100 place, which is the 6 is in the 100 place. Here we look to the digit to the right. The digit to the right is 8. And the rule is that if the digit to the right is 5 or greater, we round the 6 up by 1. Okay? So we round the 6 up by 1. And we drop anything that is to the right of it, so it becomes 0, 0. So this now becomes 700 instead of 780 or 788, okay? Whatever. It becomes 700, all right? And if this digit to the right of the 6 was less than 5, it means that our answer then becomes 600. We do not round up. So that is something that you would probably want to know, okay? Now here is the next question. Circle the number that is a composite number. You can put your answer in the chat, and that is grade 4, 5, and 6 skill. So we have prime and composite. Okay, we put our answer in the chat. Okay. All right, sorry about that. Here are the numbers. We have 7, 31, 51, and 13. Okay. All right. Here, the rule for prime and composite number. You will have composite number if the number has more than one factor, or okay. So it must have like 2 factors, 2 times what? 2 times something. All right. So now, I see some of you say none, some of you said 51. All right. Okay, who can help me out? Why did those who put 51, who can help me out with why you wrote 51 for me? Just unmute your mic and tell me why you wrote 51.
Because 3 times 17 could go into 51.
Excellent, very good. Okay, so 51 has more than 2 factors. It has 1 time 51 and what? 3 times what? 17. So that is the reason why this is a composite number. All right. Now here 13, 31, and 7. They only have 2 factors, itself and 1. And so that will be a prime number. And what I want to also remind you is that here, children will have to read this information to be able and understand it so they are successful in the exam. It is not only what we call the computation, adding or subtracting. There's also this is concept, the child will have to be reading, okay? So I'm gonna move on now. Okay. So here we have, write the number 1,480 in word form. Now this is also a challenge for children because they will have to write. Okay, they have to write it in word form and not just number form. All right, so that is a challenge for children. And let me see. And the correct answer is 1,480. And that will be the correct way of doing it. So what you can do with your child, for grade 6, it goes up into the millions. So give them a number. We call this what? Standard form. We call this standard form or number form, and have them write it in word form. Okay, that is another way of practicing their that is another way of practicing. Okay, here's another one here. Write the number that is represented by the tally marks on the chart. Here, the child will have to know what are tally marks and how to be able to read tally marks. Okay, we notice that here we have this here, what we call it, a shape, or this figure here, this figure here. So we notice that each of these have what? 4 strokes, and then we have a bar going across that. In tally, it means that whenever you see a bar go across that, it means 5. So in tally, it will never be 5 strokes, okay? It will be 4 strokes with a bar going across it, all right? And that will be 5. So we have 5 plus 5 plus 1 plus 1, okay? And our answer, okay? Who can give me the answer for that?
12.
12, excellent, okay? That will be 12, all right? Another skills or concept that is taught with the math, particularly now these questions I took from GLAT papers. So I would like for everyone to be aware of, you know, what some of the how the questions are worded and what the child will have to solve. Okay, write the aerobic number for the Roman numeral. Notice that here, this is the Roman numeral, XVII. A child will have to know what is X, what is V, and what is the I, okay? In Roman numeral, X is 10. V is 5. I is 1. Now for Roman numerals, because X is 10, this is a larger number, okay? And this is before a smaller number, we add. When a larger number is before a smaller number, we add. So this will be 10, 5, 1, 1. So when we add those all together, what will be the answer? Anybody can tell me the answer?
17.
That's right, 17. Okay. Now, if you notice that Super Bowl is in another week or 2, right? And it has what? LVIII. So who can tell me what is the number of the Super Bowl? Because they always have it in Roman numerals. LVIII. Okay. So if you notice that, okay, you can tell what number is the what number the Super Bowl is there. Okay, so we have 17. All right. Now, this is always, so we have here the computation. This is computation, children adding. Now notice that here, This is a grade 3 or grade 4 skills that they will put in the exam. Here, they will then put a more challenging problem on the paper. So a child will go from this easy problem to a more challenging problem. And the child will have to be able to regroup, because here in the 100th place, the child will have to regroup and they will have to know how to do that well, all right? Here we have the subtraction, again, easy, okay, no regrouping. And for some people, they call it borrowing, but the correct terminology is regrouping, okay? But here, it is a more challenging problem here, okay? Where again, in the 100th place, the child will have to regroup. So they will have to be able to do that well. And so practice, a lot of practice, giving them a lot of problems and allowing them to practice. Here, multiplication, straightforward, easy, because this is the 3 times table and everyone should be able to know the 3 times table. And here, a little more challenging, okay? For division, easy. But here is a little more challenging where there will be a remainder there. So if you get worksheets out, a child can do very well if they practice, they must practice. And you also please check their work and allow them to practice without calculators, please. Because they won't have calculators in the exam. All right? So here we have our word problem here. All right, I put the answer in it. So here we have the word problem, and this is the third part of the exam, grade 3 exam, as well as grade 6 exam. All words. The child will have to understand what the question is asking. The child will have to comprehend, read and comprehend what the question is asking, and before he or she can solve it, okay? So there are steps and strategies for solving word problem, and that's a whole new lesson. So if you can get your hands on a book or something to assist you, that is those parents who need that extra help in solving the word problem, that will be great, okay? I'm almost at the end. All right, so we have here the areas in math and number concept, which we looked at, computation, and the application, which I just showed you. And so those are the areas that are taught in school, and those are the areas that are examined in school as well as in the GLAT, right? All right, so here I'm going through this very quickly. These are the topics that are taught in the number concept. These are some of the topics. There are probably 1 or 2 that I do not have here. And remember here, particularly for grades 4, 5, and 6, sequencing whole numbers, you have decimals and fractions. All right, so you cannot forget your fractions. You cannot forget your multiplication. Okay, Roman numerals, graphs. You cannot forget your graphs, your money. Okay. Computation. Okay, while we have whole numbers, we also have fractions and decimal. Okay, to deal with when we do add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So they will have to practice it a lot, okay, to get it. Okay. And here, application. Application will stem from the computation, it's basically the same thing. What will be added is many times will be the different types of graphs that they will do, okay? Right, so we have the bar graph, the pie graph, the ordered pair, the line graph. They have leaf and stem. And so there are a number of graphs that the child will also have to learn, okay? All right, in conclusion, when kids struggle with math, it doesn't mean that they're not smart or they're not trying hard enough. In fact, kids who have trouble with maths are often trying their best. Some kids just need more time and practice to learn math skills or better instructions. Others need additional support to help them to get there. The type of support kids need often depends on what's causing the challenge. So I don't want you to get frustrated or overly concerned. Remember that each child is different. Each child has a different challenge with their math. It is the way that we as adults present the math. We have to give them lots of examples, okay, and lots of practice. Okay, with that in mind, I have two website or YouTube channels that I like to go to, Homeschool Pop and Math Antics. Some of you may be aware of that. So those are some of the channels, YouTube channels that I enjoy going to help in math, particularly for the elementary school. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to stop sharing at this time. All right, Ms. Lewis? Yeah, I'm finished.
Thank you very much, Cynthia, for sharing those tips with us, letting us know the challenges that students face and the strategies and creative tips we could use to help our kids. I'm sure everyone appreciate what you shared with us. And you mentioned those two YouTube channels. I see someone said they're familiar with Math Antics, but there's also more resources that that we can share with everyone here. And I just want to mention the fact that that Cynthia also has a YouTube channel, and she has over 300 videos there covering different topics. I just wanted to show the screen. So yeah, on her YouTube channel, she has over 300 videos there with different topics, not just math, but other subjects as well. So if you haven't subscribed to her channel yet, you might want to do that, because all of these videos are in sync with the Bahamas Ministry of Education curriculum. These are all free. And then there's also her shop on the Student Shed, where Cynthia has over 200 products specifically for primary school. There's worksheets, question and answer worksheets that she's put together. Also, there's GLAT past papers with answer keys, and she has updated them up to the year 2023. So you can just scroll through her shop and take a look at that. And there's one more thing I want to share with you guys. Cynthia is now offering GLAT classes, GLAT math classes to 6 students. She wants to put together a very small group where she focuses on just 6 students and helping them prepare for GLAT from now over, starting in February until May. The cost for that is $96 for the month, and that covers 8 classes. So that basically breaks down to about $12 a class for this very personal experience where she gets to walk your child through test taking skills, math concepts to prepare them for the GLAT. I'll share the link for these GLAT classes with you inside the chat box, along with the link to her YouTube channel and the link to her shop as well. Now, I know some of you also had some questions. I saw some questions in the chat. This would be a good idea, a good time to go through those. If anyone else have any questions, you can just put them in the chat and we'll go through them one at a time. So Cynthia, I saw the first question. Let's see. I think it was from Antonia. She asked, do you think it's necessary to invest in the GLAT books in order for a homeschool student to be successful in the exams?
I know that there are some, what you call it, the GLAT books. That's, you're talking about the past papers. If you invest in those, you will, if you do, you are practicing, the child is really practicing, okay? And what you will find from year to year, you will find some different ways that the questions are worded. Now, what is unfortunate, in the classroom, we word questions only one particular way, okay? And when in the GLAT, the same question that is given to a child in the classroom, that same question can be written in a slightly different way on the GLAT. And because that child was not accustomed to that new way, that child will not be able to complete or solve that question properly, okay? So that is one of the advantages that I see that the GLAT book will give. It's the different way questions are written.
She has another question. She asks, what tip or tips can you give as it relates to helping a student manage his or her time in the exams?
Okay, in the exam, children have a lot of time, trust me. And then most of the exam will probably go to an hour and a half. Myself, when I was in the classroom and I was invigilating the exam, I will always have the time up on the board. And I said, okay, this is the time, for example, if a child, say reading comprehension, if there are 5 passages there and you have an hour and a half, I said, now we're going to divide 5 into hour and a half. Okay, so we have 60 plus 30, so that's 90 minutes. Divide 5 into 90, and that's the amount of time that you will have on one particular question or passage. For the math, now what they were doing for the last couple of years, I noticed that they would put all 3 components or 3 areas in one booklet. Now, each of those booklet or each of those areas, the child will not do them all at one time. Okay? That child, in fact, they will just have an entire day or entire morning, really, because it finishes like for lunchtime. The entire morning will be just for math. And so the first, say, hour or so will be or 45 minutes will be for the concept. And what I advise children to do, if you come up to a question that you really don't understand, just leave it and go on to the others. At the end, when you finish all of them, go back and deal with that, okay? Then what will happen is the children will have a break, and then they will go on to the second component, which is the computation. And there will also be a break after their computation, and there will be the application. In the same manner, normally most children don't have a challenge with the computation because there's hardly any reading, it's just the numbers. But for the application, that is where time is. So the application, which is the last portion, and the number concept is the first portion, those will require time. So you can spend about, they can spend about 2 to 3 minutes on each question. That will be good. All right, I hope I answer your question.
Okay, does anyone else have any other questions? If so, you can add it to the chat, or you
Good
can.
night.
Someone, okay,
Good night. Could I say? Could I speak?
go ahead.
Okay. It's not a question, but it's an observation where our sixth graders and our primary school students in terms of maths is facing. I'm a teacher in the secondary school. And my problem is that the foundation where maths in the primary school is not yet covered. And that, I think, that is because of our teachers in the, I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just asking if we can look at it in another way in getting specialists where maths is concerned in primary school, because not all of the primary school teachers are maths oriented, and most of the teachers did not like maths at the beginning. But yes, we all want to be a teacher, but our foundation where maths is concerned is not there. So because of that, and I was listening to your presentation that says because of how we present the component, the concept, the content to the children, we are going to have a problem all the time where maths is concerned, because foundation maths is what matters in life. And my suggestion is get specialists in the primary school so that they can help us, because right now the University of the Bahamas is blaming the secondary is blaming the junior is blaming the primary is blaming the preschool. So the blame is being cast all around. Now, what we can do is start from the lower level and work our way up. What else I also found out is the application of word problem. Word problem, where the children are concerned, it is very bad. And because of the presentation in which we teachers present it to the child or to the children.
Okay, your points are very, very, very on point. And yes, I did indicate a number of those in my presentation. And we do have challenges with teachers in terms of math. I'm hoping that the day will come when our government, particularly in the public school, when our government will probably look at the possibility of having math specialists. But just keep our fingers crossed. I don't, that can happen. But I want to remind all of us that foundation, and as you said, foundation is so important. If that child doesn't have that foundation, they will have that gap in there, and therefore they will not be able to do well as they move up. Okay?
I have a question. I've gotten a lot of questions from parents who would tell me that their child does well in class. They do well on their assignments, but when the time comes for the exam, they fail. They don't do well. What advice would you give for parents or teachers to help their children in instances like that?
Okay, very good question. Like in most of our exams, sometimes it's not that the child doesn't know, Sometimes it's the way the teachers write the exam. In terms of when you talk about for GLAT in the area of, say, social studies most of the time, questions will come from the DJC area for a primary school, and that's a disadvantage for the primary school students. I don't see it really in the other areas. The other areas are on par. In terms of the school exams, I'm not sure what to say about that. I know that I assist in writing the district exam several times, and I also wrote our school exam, and I didn't see any problems with those. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure really how to answer that. Another thing is anxiety. We talk about anxiety. Children, when they're taking the sitting math, when they're sitting exams in general, they are anxious. Their anxiety kicks in. And so that causes them not to do very well. And so what if the teacher noticed that happens, or say, for example, say in the Christmas exam, I'm thinking you're talking about end of term exams, right? If the teachers notice that in the Christmas exam, which will be the first exam, that teacher, I would like for that teacher to look at ways how they can calm that child down, and so that child can do well in the other exams. And so that's why the onus is really on teachers, really on teachers. Again, we have to be more than teachers. We have to be the psychologists. We have to be the parent when the parents are not there. So, we have to be looking at these particular things.
Okay, thank you for that. Does anyone else have any other questions?
I think somebody was.
Hi, good night. How are you? How's everyone?
Fine, thank you.
My question is, what are your thoughts on the ABACA system? Because my son, he's in grade 6, and what I find is that he learns differently. Like how you said, you're a visual learner. He's similar to that. I
Right.
feel like the ABACA system guides teachers so much step by step that some of them don't use other methods for kids that may not learn within the way ABACA has designed for them to teach that curriculum, because it tells them when to give an exam, what day to give it, what to say, etc., stuff like that, as opposed to, I think, in the government system, they do their own curriculum. So there's more ideas and thought put into it. So what do you think about the two?
Okay. I really cannot speak for the ABACA. I don't have much knowledge. I have knowledge on the lower primary aspect. And I think the little experience that I had with it, I see the ABACA good for lower primary more than it is for upper primary. So that's how I see the ABACA. Now, I noticed that some schools on Grand Bahama, are you on Grand Bahama?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I know that some schools on Grand Bahama, they are now, I don't know if it's for the administration or the teachers. There are teachers who are leaning a lot on the government curriculum. And they're using a lot of the government papers, to assist their upper primary students. I heard that the ABAC is a very rigorous curriculum. and teachers have to finish it in a certain time, and that forces parents to have to look for tutors for their children because their children have missed out. Okay, so all I
And it's
as I
like they
said,
cram the information. They
yeah,
cram it
as I
so that
said,
we just quote it.
I don't know too much on about the upper primary, but I thought it was a good foundation, particularly the reading. It was a good foundation for the lower primary. Okay.
Thank you.
I have
Yes, oh, go ahead. Someone has a question.
Yes, I had a question. I noticed that in the GLAT books, because I purchased some GLAT books from 2017 to 2023 for practice, right? And in looking at the math, there are, I know you mentioned the Roman numeral L, I see Roman numeral M, and all these different things in the GLAT book. And at my daughter's school, they have not gone over these things. And I'm thinking, are these questions or questions like this, will they still be on the GLAT, whether that material has been covered or not?
Yes, ma'am. Because in GLAT,
Okay.
it's not just for a school or an island. It is the Bahamas. Okay? And the Ministry of Education has made the curriculum available for anyone. All right? You as a parent, if you're a parent, you can go and you can look at the curriculum on the ministry site. All right? And you will see what is expected for math there. And when you're talking about the Roman numerals, I know for grade 6, we go into the thousands. Okay? You start with grade 3 with probably up to 50. Grade 4, you take it to what, 500. And, in grade 6 and grade 5, you will go up to the thousands. And knowing how to add, as I showed a little bit, when the larger numbers in the front of the smaller number, you will add. When the smaller number in the front of the larger number, you take away. And so for me, those are the rules that I would give my students. And it is just for them to remember what M is, what L is, what X is, what B is, to remember those. And there's a lot of rules in math. Trust me, that there are a lot of rules in math. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a question in the chat. Shakira asks, do you see the GLAT ever becoming obsolete?
Listen, that is a conversation that is discussed by many teachers. In fact, according to the ministry, is a diagnostic tool. So I don't know. They don't do anything with it. Trust me, nothing is done with it. But it's a diagnostic tool that they try to find out where every child is academically in grades 3, and grade 6. So I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know if they will make it obsolete.
Okay, so Alicia Raming asks, do you have any suggestions to assist struggling students with composition?
Writing?
Good afternoon. Yes, I am. Good evening.
Okay.
Yes, it's writing composition.
Okay, you're talking about writing composition. Okay. The child is in which grade level, can I ask?
Grade 6.
Grade 6, okay. All right. Listen, I love writing also. I have a book out that I use in my classroom, giving how I structure my writing. It is a process, just like they say the writing process. Writing is a process, and the child has to get writing, okay, as much as possible. In GLAT, for a child to be successful, their writing, they must write at least 3 good paragraphs. And they also need to use a lot of, their word choice must be good. They need to be vivid. Vivid means that I don't know if you're familiar with figurative language, vividness. So particularly when they writing a descriptive paragraph or a narrative descriptive paragraph or a narrative descriptive essay, they need to be vivid and their tone must be there. So getting your child, what I like to do, I don't know how strong she is in writing, or he is in writing. So at home, you can try to, along with them doing the math practice, getting them to write a paragraph, probably every other day, okay? For example, if you say I don't know, my breakfast, or if they like something, I don't know what girls are into these days, if they still like dolls or anything. So to write about it, first of all, you have to have a topic sentence. And that also, you're looking at topic sentence, that is also in reading, that is one of the skills. And the topic sentence is your main idea, okay? Okay, a good one is for example, she could write about where she lives, a house or apartment, wherever you're living, all right? And you can start with, I always have children start with one of the type of sentences. You can start with a declarative sentence, you can start with an exclamatory sentence, or you can start with an interrogative sentence. Declarative means stating something. This is my house. An interrogative sentence, would you like for me to tell you about my house? And exclamatory sentences, wow, what a great house I have, okay? And so therefore from that is your topic sentence. Now you have, from there, they need to talk about this house, only this house, okay? And so you can get them or the child to start to do things like that, writing like that. So you just stay in with the paragraph. Another thing that they like to put out is a day at the beach. So you have 3 paragraphs. You talk about your topic sentence, when you went, where you went, who you went with. And they must be sentences, not listing things. The next paragraph can be about the activities that you did at the beach, okay? I would say this, let's say that's the 3rd paragraph. The other thing will be, the 2nd paragraph will be describing the beach. How did you get to the beach? And the 3rd paragraph will be activities that were at the beach, and then you close with a closing sentence. Okay, now on my site, my YouTube channel, you can find several writing lessons there, so you can check them. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, Shakara, who had asked about whether you ever see GLAT becoming obsolete, had another question. She said, that's why I asked. So then my next question is, what is the intervention? Because children are still allowed to move on without passing both levels.
Yeah, that is a concern with teachers. And I always say it is the principals, because there are some principals who will retain a child, and there are some principals who will just send them on. I had a principal, she said, listen, I had teaching fourth grade, and she said, if the child is 9, I'm not keeping them back. She sent them on to grade 5. Child is struggling. And so, you have nothing, it's out of the teacher hand, it's therefore the administrative hand. Also, it can also be a problem. I had a student who, when I taught grade 6 several years ago, he turned up to 12. He came in, I think he came into school, and I think he was held back about twice. So he had to go. He was almost 13. And so he had to go into the junior high school. And the sad thing about it, it always haunted me, is that they did not put him in grade 7. Because of his age, they put him in grade 8. So therefore, it compounded the problem further for him, because that whole year of grade 7 was, he didn't have that. He did not have that. So he just slid back more. So it is something that our school system have to address.
Okay, thank you for that. All right. I don't see any more questions in the chat, but if anyone else has any questions, let us know. Otherwise, we will begin to wrap up. Okay. All right, so we'll wrap up now. We're heading to the 2-hour mark. This has been extremely informative. Cynthia, thank you so much for sharing with us. And everyone on the call, I know some people had to leave, but I want to thank you too for joining us and showing this commitment to your children and your students' academic success. I applaud you for that. And I guess that's it for us tonight. The links are in the chat if you want to look at additional resources. Again, if you want to sign up for the math classes, it's 6 persons max, so it's a first come, first serve. And then if you want the free resources, you can check out Cynthia's store, because she also has some free resources there too. And also, of course, her YouTube channel. And if you have any other questions, you can send us an email, info@thestudentshare.com. And again, thank you very much, Cynthia, and everyone for joining us today. Have a very good evening.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for showing up. I hope that I was able to help you in some way.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Okay.